PTG from Proxy Table Gaming, and here we are with a continuation of the Universal Battle 2 tutorial. The last couple of videos have been about the interface of Universal Battle 2 itself, and also about how to use this button, the terrain feature, and this button, the dice feature. Just going to move that screen up. I think that was how it was last time. So I need to think of another button to talk you through in order to help you with your learning of Universal Battle 2. And in fact, I'm going to spoil you in this video, because this video is going to be a tutorial of these three buttons down here. So the default setting when you go into any match is this one will be highlighted in green, this one and this one will be highlighted in grey. And you'll just see that I skipped over the inbuilt system help just because I wasn't quite ready to talk about it, but now I am. So this button here, if you hover over it, it tells you a little bit about what it does anyway. Very handy. If disabled, allows you to move an entire unit by clicking anywhere on it. Okay, so that is if disabled. And you'll notice that, as I mentioned, this is by default already highlighted, so it's enabled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable it first of all, just to show you what would happen without it. Now the first thing you might notice when you see I press disable is that the green semicircles behind the units disappears. They're no longer there. And that's because when I've got it disabled, that button, I can click anywhere on this unit and move the whole unit. Same thing with that one. I can click anywhere on there. So front right, back left, back right, front left. Anywhere on the unit and I can move the whole unit in one big chunk. Pretty handy when you need to move a whole unit, definitely. However, some people prefer, and I have to say I very rarely take this button off, is I will put that button on, just like it is by default, and these green sort of semicircle, oblongy shapes come out the back, and that means that when you want to move the whole unit, you actually press on this green shape, and it allows you to move the unit like this. So I can hear what you're saying, what you're thinking. Well, why would you want to press on the green semicircle instead of just clicking on one model in a unit? When just clicking on anywhere in the unit, surely that's simpler. The reason is that on some occasions, in some games, certainly in the 9th Age, you actually want to remove or move one particular model in a unit. For example, if this unit here, my soldier unit, were armed with crossbows, they have a shot at this unit, and they killed 2 of them. I want to remove 2 models from the back, which I've now done. They've been killed by the crossbows. I would not have been able to do that had I disabled this. For example, by disabling it, if I want to try and remove this model from the back now, I'm moving the whole unit, including the casualties that I've just taken away, because they are still linked to the unit. So that is why I prefer, and perhaps why it is default setting, to have that highlighted in green, so that you can move individual models within a unit. You can move them out the middle if you want. Say, for example, you've got a character in there, and that's going to be a whole different tutorial, just for the record. So you need to make a space for a character at the front, then you make a space, and this guy just goes thrown on the back, like that. So that is why you might want to leave that in green, and just show it's still in green. They actually can move forward, and this guy is still linked to them. He's still linked to them because he was part of the unit. Same goes with these casualties. They're still linked to the unit because they've been taken out individually. So that is what the use of this feature is. Now, of course, if you are aware that you're needing to move the whole unit, then you can certainly go ahead and turn it off. And if you're happy with your formation, then you can go ahead and move it like that once you've set up. And providing it doesn't take any casualties, you can keep it like that for the entire game. Or maybe there is are no casualties in the particular game you're playing. Who knows? But that is what that feature is very much there for. So I'm going to turn that back on just because I'm used to using it. The next button in this set of tutorial is this button here. Now this is quite a tricksy little feature that I really like. I really like this one, and I will often have this highlighted on, and just if I hover over the help, enables line of sight on models and bases. Line of sight, interesting. So when you're playing a tabletop battle with models, line of sight tends to be like a diagonal from either corner, and their line of sight stretches out in a cone, and often you use like plastic templates or some other fancy template that you've got going, and that measures your line of sight. You can't exactly stick a plastic template on the front of these. However, what you can do is use this feature to enable your line of sight so that when you click on your unit, ooh, look at that, these snazzy lines come up. So that is enabling a line of sight line to extend directly out the corner of your unit. So I now know that the line of sight of this unit is within this cone. No need for a plastic cone out the front. It's already there. And what the feature has also done for the observant people out there, it's given you a ring around the unit, which is the inch separations for their range. So how far away they are from opponents. For example, this ring goes out 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, 6 inch, 7 inches, probably just further than 8 inches. So I know that that unit is 8 inches away from my unit. That's without having to get a tape measure out, without having to judge it randomly. I know now that that is the exact range between them. And for those even more observant, the red lines go up in 3-inch increments, and the blue lines go up in 6-inch increments. They get slightly faded as you go further out, but that's because hopefully you shouldn't have to use them quite as much. And that means at a very quick glance, I can see roughly that they're closer than 9 inches, but further than 6, further than 8. And of course, you can use this feature in conjunction with the zoom. So if I want to tell exactly how close, I can see they're definitely further than 8 inches, but within the 9-inch. And that's the guy's hand that extends, probably covering up the edge of the base. But if I wanted to zoom in and make that sure, they're definitely not within 8 inches. So I can use the feature, which I already showed, the magnifier, to determine that. I love that feature of line of sight. You cannot have it on 2 units at once. So for example, I've clicked on this unit. In fact, in this example, I've clicked on one model. So just literally that model, and it shows the line of sight of that one model in the front rank. I have to remember that if I want to click on the whole unit, I have to click on my back semicircle. In fact, if I take off the first button, then I can click anywhere in the unit, bad example, there for example, and I'm still looking at the overall unit's line of sight. That's because I've disabled that feature. Keeping that feature on, I can check the line of sight of any one model. So for example, if I was charging out a character, I can just click on that character to find out his line of sight, etc. But similarly, I can just click on the green semicircle at the back and get the whole unit's line of sight. I love this feature. I love it so much. A lot of people prefer to use a tape measure, which is a feature of Universal Battle 2. It's still in there, and I'll show you that later on. Just as a little tease, it's in this button, which I haven't yet done a tutorial for. So there are tape measures available, but I like this feature personally. It's easier for me. As I mentioned, you can't have it on 2 units at once, so it does make it a little bit finicky when you're trying to maneuver a unit within other units' lines of sight. For example, as soon as I press on this unit, it takes the one off my original unit. And also, when you click on another unit, it will remove the previous one. So, for example, if I was trying to move my unit here out of that unit's line of sight, I'd have to click on them in order to move them and move them up. And now I'd kind of be guessing the line of sight by memory to move it out of. However, there are ways of getting around that, again, using the tool feature. So never fear, it is possible. Right, and that leads us on to the third button. I tend to leave this one highlighted to be honest, because I like using it so much. The third one is one you'll have to turn on and off when you need it. So it locks movement of objects to only X and Y. Okay, that sounds a bit mathematical for my liking. So let's turn that on. Now, what you may have noticed when I moved this unit from here to here is that I was just dragging it with my mouse. That was a little bit rough. You know, I moved them 11.3 inches. It was a little bit, it was roughly in the right direction forwards. But however, if I were to move them with this X and Y button highlighted, when I move them down, I can drag them to the left and the right, but it's jumping. It's jumping on an X and a Y axis, 90 degrees. I cannot move them diagonal, no matter what I do while this is locked on. For example, I'll do exactly the same movement now. Oh, now I can move them diagonal. And so this feature is very useful if you want your unit marching in a straight line or going backwards in a straight line, for example. So let's say I want to move them 2 inches backwards. There you go, done it exactly in a straight line. I'll do it a little bit again, give myself some room. Moving back 4 inches this time. This time, I'll turn it off because I want to move them diagonally. Do a different maneuver using the wheel earlier on. Showed you how to use that before. And now that they've done their wheel, I can turn it back on and move them forward. Now, in fact, something I want to test live, because I'm not sure I've given you completely accurate advice, is I'll leave that on and then try and do a wheel. In fact, it will let me do a wheel even while that's turned on. So that's quite useful. So I may have alluded to in my previous advice that you couldn't do that. But actually, as it turns out, you certainly can do a wheel even with that turned on. And then, because you've kept it on, I'm ready to now move straight forward. Like so. Yeah, so I love all three of these buttons. This one I haven't used so much because I like to keep it on. I don't tend to need to remember to press the back green circle. I tend to remember to do that anyway, but that's because that's the way that I've learned to play it, as opposed to just clicking the whole unit. And I am playing a game where you remove casualties from the back. So this will usually be my standard setup with all three of these buttons highlighted. And then when I need to remove it, say for example, I'm just moving my models around, not playing the game itself, need to move this unit over here because I'm deploying it. Easy enough to do. And so yeah, that is these three buttons and how to use them. Now I've got a tiny bit of time for a little extra tutorial. So I'm going to pretend that this model is actually in the back. And this space here, let me zoom in a little bit. This space in this unit, I actually want to put a character in there. And just for this example, I'm going to pretend that this guy here is a character. Now, when I show you creating unit templates and things like that in a further tutorial, you'll be able to see the character differently because it'll be a different model. In fact, let's not mess around. Let's use one of these characters, these models, as my character. So I'm going to move him around using this handy turnaround button. And just for this example, I'm going to turn off my line of sight, just so it's not quite as busy on the screen. And now I'm going to move him into this unit, like that. He's gone into the gap. Pretty cool. However, are we done? No, we're not. Because now, when I move this unit, oh, we've got a problem. My character did not move alongside the unit. Quick, undo. Well, surely I don't have to highlight the whole thing. Let's zoom out. Surely I don't have to highlight the whole thing in order to move them every time. And in either way, that's still not done it. What's going on? This is rubbish. I can't have my characters in units. Not so, do not fear. Because if I click on this guy, I unlink him from the unit he was with. He was with that unit. I've unlinked him using this button here. And I'm now going to press the link again. And you'll see that as I press the unlink button, all the units that I've created have disappeared and been replaced by these green templates. If I wanted to him to be linked to the unit he was with previously, I'd then click on this unit. But as it happens, I've wanted him to join this unit. So I'm going to click this unit. Hey presto, everyone reappears. Good stuff. But now when I move this unit, the character moves with them. Fantastic. I now have my character joined to that unit, ready to fight and betray his former allies in battle. So there we go. That's going to end the tutorial there. A little bonus thing at the end, which I just threw in, which is joining characters to units. And joining any models to units, really. It doesn't have to be characters, for other game features. I hope you're enjoying these tutorials. Like I say, I'm enjoying making them. Please comment on them. Tell me what you want to know about Universal Battle 2. Chances are I've already got plans to do further tutorials. If there's something you haven't seen in these ones currently, it's because I'm probably going to get onto it. But if you think there's something I've missed about a feature I've already shown, then get it in the comments. Start helping other people as well. It might be they read the comments and I won't need to do a tutorial separately on it. And yeah, just enjoy playing with this game. It is such a useful tool and I very much love it. So yeah, I'll end this one here. This tutorial 3, and we'll move on to a further feature in tutorial 4. I'll see you there.